The recommendation for the setting up of IPCMC, as I've mentioned in my presentation earlier, was supported by 300 civil society organizations, and of course, including it would include the societies which Mr. Aru is a part of. So, on IPCMC, why, in your view, must there be an external and independent commissions? I mean, the police force already has their own internal mechanism, and of course we also already have EAIC, but why must it? Why must we still push for the setting up of IPCMC?
Actually, if you look at the police force, I always start normally by asking people, what does PDRM stands for? Because a lot of people make joke, police Raja di Malaysia, not police di Raja Malaysia. But it is actually true. During those days, when Mahathir was the Prime Minister, we used to say, police DR Dr. Mahathir. Because we say Mahathir control the police force. Now people say police di bawah Osman Mansur. So the whole concept of the independence. Ambika.
I'm really sorry.
Okay, now we have the full panel. Okay, when you talk about independence, it's very important to understand that in most countries, the most important group which keeps the ruling party in power is the military. If you look at Thailand, if you look at the Philippines, if you look at Myanmar, if you look at Indonesia, that's why you have generals, all that ruling. But in Malaysia, the military has no role. This role of the military is replaced by the police. That's why you see the Home Ministry position, because the position of the IGP and the Deputy IGP is not that the most senior comes up. The role of the IGP and the Deputy IGP is actually handpicked by the Prime Minister. So you don't need a rocket scientist to understand who will they be loyal to. Okay? For example, the concept of Mesra. If you look in police uniform, there is one sign Mesra, two people shaking hands. This concept of Mesra came 192 years after police force was introduced. Why after 192 years? Because in 1998, the Deputy Prime Minister then, now in jail, was punched during, lockup rule says after 6 o'clock, no one can do investigation. He was punched after 6, his hand was tied behind, he was blindfolded, he was bashed up. And then for months, people were asking, who did it? Because Anwar came to the trial in PJ with a black eye. Now you know why Keadilan's symbol is an eye. That is to remind you about this black eye, which Anwar got in 98. Immediately after that, the very next day, his criminal charge was turned into an ISA. Because, they wanted this, so he was in ISA detention, And so during these months, people were asking what happened to him. The police were doing investigation. Police say, AG says not enough investigation, not complete. Mahathir said Anwar punched himself. So everybody was giving their own version of it. Finally, a lot of people went to the street. People were asking the first time in Malaysian history. Of course, during the communist time, they shoot the IGP, but during civil disorder, a lot of people went to the street calling for the IGP to step down. That is when the concept, then a royal commission was set up, and the first time it was known that the person who punched Anwar was the IGP. So this question about police independence, you need, it is not all a situation where we normally used to say, this is done by a small-time policeman, the big-time policemen are very good. very principled. It's not the issue. Because OCPDs have abused their power, and in this case, the IGP himself has. So this is clearly an indication that the police cannot investigate themselves. And then, that is why, and initially when this commission was set up, this IPCMC, not the IPCMC, the Royal Commission to Enhance Police Powers, we actually didn't trust all these people, like Denison or, so this one sure, government putting one show, But then they came up with a report. What I'm trying to say, this is not a report by Lim Kit Siang. It's not a report by other people. It is a report by a commission set up by the government to look into the police, and they came up with a recommendation. And after that, the police force decided, they made a big protest. Similarly, when in Hong Kong, and they tried to introduce this kind of legislation, the police in Hong Kong also went on protest. But there in Hong Kong, the government had some meetings with the police. They decided, okay, if you did some offense previously, you won't be convicted, but if you do a murder, you'll be still convicted. So they gave some leeway, and the law went through. In Malaysia, you can understand that the police force, which the ruling party uses again and again, ISA, everything lah. You look at Altan Tuya, UTK, it's all police. And MECC. Recently, MECC was arrested by police. Okay? So this is the scenario we have today, Why the police is so powerful. And I was told that when the Special Branch Chief was transferred out, the police sent, Special Branch is part of the police force, but the police sent another team to actually seal the Special Branch office so that no document goes out. So taking on the IPCMC is not like a simple thing. It's a big thing we are all taking on, but it's a very important thing is to disarm the state actually from its power, from using this abusive power to catch people. And if you imagine that the way the police have been reacting from day one, they protested against the IPCMC. And when Amirul Rashid was shot, there was a Merdeka Center did a survey. In the Merdeka Center survey, they came up to say that 58% are not happy with the police force. Only 25% was happy, and another rest didn't want to say anything. And what the police made a statement the very next day to say, well, if like that means, we will go on strike. That means the police force is so powerful, they are threatening us, if you condemn me or you criticize me, I will go on strike. Then you don't come and complain to me any problems. So I think that is why a lot of groups, the 300 over organization, though initially we were very, don't trust these people, but later when we saw the report, it was a very good report. It was a very good report. And a lot of the report also talked about problems faced by the policemen. That means their salary, the way, the condition they work in. It's not really it's not a police bashing kind of report. 80% of the report actually was talking how to improve the police force, giving them more powers, investigation powers, helping them out, get the DPP involved in the early stage of investigation. Because today, I always call the IO instruction, not investigation officer. It's all instructed officer. He gets instruction, he runs the thing. That's what we are facing today. So I think with that, the initial thing, I think that's why taking on the IPCMC, we are not taking on the police actually. We are taking on the state. Because this is a very important, the police in Malaysia is the one which keeps the state in power. Okay, if you look at the independence, see there's a number of other things, the independence of the media, the independence of the judiciary. There are other factors as well. But then if you look at the IPCMC, it's actually very critical that the bar has dug up this thing up again, because people have forgotten it. You see, the government was very defensive. First they started the SCC, they call it the Special Complaints Commission. And who sits in the Special Complaints Commission is the IGP. So it was completely, everyone made fun of it,
Yeah.
And then they came up with the EAIC. And EAIC today, they are actually communicating with Swaram and all that. Please come and see us. Please come and see us. We are credible, You see, any commission for the matter, if they do something right, the people will be behind them, will back them up. This is what happened in MECC recently, Nobody gave a damn about MECC until they
Did the right thing.
been on MDB. Then everybody started to give flowers to MDB. And for once, MDB people, MECC people feel, well, we did something right. So I think the EAIC is the same thing.
Yeah.
They have to win over credibility, confidence by fighting their way through. If not, we are not going to take them serious. In the last session bar council which I attended, the EAIC, the chairperson, talked about the very good report they have submitted to Parliament. And we highlighted him. That's what Suhakam does every time, the Dato' Yaakob. Yaakob. We said the point is whether you have titam, you ada gigi atau tak ada gigi. That is the persoalan, whether you have powers to prosecute, you can, If not, it is just a PR work for the government. So whether ultimately IPCMC will become a PR or not, that we can be seen. But at least, you see, that's why they are fighting so hard and they're coming out with so many other things, because they themselves know that we need an independent commission, but they're coming out with other ways to address it. So for me, this campaign is I think quite a very serious campaign, and we really need to push it because it's a very popular campaign. Star did they did a poll after the IP, and the Malaysian public wanted it to be implemented. I think you call for a referendum or whatever today, people will call for that. So I think, and I think also, just as to conclude, is that when things get like now, things get like very lot of suppression and all that. It is actually the powers are very weak actually. That's why they have to resort to catching people. You talk something, they're using the maximum. That means they're actually very weak, and we should not take a step backwards, because this is the time to actually push. Because most reforms, like during the 2.6 billion thing, what do you call that, the donation, Najib wanted to start. He wanted them to start doing political donation. He want to regulate it. Suddenly, So you see, that shows that this is the time for us to have to move forward. That's very important, not to take a step backwards. Yeah.